What's up guys, it's your boy Nathaniel Massiah. So in today's video I'm going to be addressing something which has been coming up an awful lot in the last couple months, especially, and in the last month in particular has been getting a bit out of hand. So in all honesty, I've been procrastinating making this video, partly because I didn't want to make it because it's like, I don't know, people have it in their minds that when you address, whether or not you're natural, whether or not you're on steroids, it somehow makes you more guilty. And it's a logic which we don't apply to any other situation. Like, if someone gets accused of a heinous crime, if they defend themselves, it doesn't make them more guilty. It's like people don't realize saying that someone is on steroids when they're not is not just saying they're on steroids. You're essentially saying that they're a liar and are lying to their audience, and you're basically questioning their integrity. So it's not as simple as saying that they're on steroids. Like, maybe it is if they don't say anything, but someone like me who actually claims natural, it is like a decently big thing if you say, this guy is lying to you. So yeah, that is pretty much my motivation for making today's video. So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you guys why pretty much all of the narratives about me being on steroids are silly, and hopefully convince a few of you that I am natural, and if not, then at least maybe educate you on the topic, because I feel like a lot of people don't properly understand the topic, and that is reflected in some of the narratives that I've heard. Before we get into the arguments, if some of you are like watching my videos for the first time and you're thinking, why is this guy even addressing steroid accusations? Why is he getting steroid accusations? Basically, my name's Nathaniel Massiah, like you just heard. I do a mixture of like bodybuilding and strength stuff, I guess you could say, like powerlifting. And recently I did a 290 kilo deadlift, so that's what, 639 pounds, and it seems like people think I have a pretty decent physique, so that is that's the basis of a lot of the steroid accusations, just those two things. So yeah, you know what, I'm gonna get straight into it. I'm gonna start with like the stupidest arguments and then go to the ones with like the most validity, even though they're all wrong because I'm not on steroids, right? Okay, spoiler alert, I'm not. Like, that is the answer to the question, am I on steroids? No. And yeah, I'm gonna go from stupidest to the ones which, at least on the surface, make some sense. Probably the stupidest argument that I've heard is that I hang around people who people think are on steroids, and therefore that means I'm on steroids. So the reason why this argument is stupid, because just because someone makes a decision with their body doesn't mean that I'm going to want to make the same decision, and doesn't mean it's going to influence my thought process at all. Like, for example, I grew up in South London where most people I know smoke weed. I've never smoked weed in my life, because that's just not something I want to do. It's just not, like, I have no desire to do it. So just because someone else I know is doing something doesn't mean I'm going to want to do it. So this argument actually comes up a lot, and it doesn't really make any sense, because in the real world, that's not how things go. I know people like influence other people into, starting steroids. That's how a lot starts for a lot of people. But for me personally, I'd say I'm pretty educated on the topic. I know the risks that go along with it, so this isn't going to be something that I'm just going to be, coerced into doing by one of my friends. It's not going to work that way. And I would say for any of you that are thinking of starting it, do not listen to any of your friends. Make the decision for you, because if or when you start having health problems, at that point it's not their problem, it's your problem. So you're going to have to deal with the repercussions of your actions. So that is argument number one, which is very stupid. Stupid argument number two, which comes up an incredible amount. This one, I don't know how... I struggle to fathom how this argument is still around, and that's because he's on Gymshark, he's on steroids, but Gymshark doesn't let him talk about steroids. Okay. The reason why this is dumb is because there are literally people on Gymshark who admit to steroid use. Dylan McKenna, the other day, made a video about his whole stack, everything that he's on, and he's a Gymshark athlete. So how can you think that Gymshark doesn't let you talk about steroids if there are Gymshark athletes that talk about steroids? You see how this is not really adding up? It doesn't really make any sense. It's getting a bit delusional now with a lot of the steroid accusations, because people are just not thinking. They've just got it in their brains that you must be on steroids, and they're going to use whatever argument they can to argue it. So I think the main basis of this one is that with Ryan Casey, when he got dropped from Gymshark, that was about the same time that he came out saying he was on SARMs. So people put two and two together and were like, he got dropped by Gymshark because he started SARMs. What actually happened, because I've talked... Ryan actually said it in the video, and I've actually talked to people at Gymshark, was Ryan was not responding to his Gymshark contacts. He wasn't meeting his post requirements. He was airing his Gymshark contact. He wasn't like responding to messages or anything like that. And obviously you have an amount of posts that you're legally bound to provide, and if you're not providing that, then they are liable, to drop you, and that's what was happening with Ryan. It just so happened that at the same time he came out with saying that he's on SARMs, but again, if Gymshark have people on their roster who admit to steroid use, why would they drop someone for steroid use? That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, somehow that argument has perpetuated for several years, and that's why I've got to address today. Argument number 3, which I wouldn't say is stupid, but it's just a bit misinformed, is that I have gained strength and lost fat at the same time. This is just completely incorrect, actually. So I went on just backstory. Last year, I bulked up to 205 pounds, about 93 kilos, right? And I was getting stronger as I was doing that. Then when lockdown hit, and just for reference, my PRs at that time was 275 kilo deadlift, a 502 pounds or 227.5 kilo squat for 2 reps, and a 140 kilo bench press. So I was a decently strong kid for 17 years old. So then lockdown hit, and I said, okay, I can't train properly, I'm gonna go on a cut and get lean. Okay, so I went on a cut from about March until May, and I continued cutting after that, but May was when I kind of just said, yeah, I'm gonna call it a day. I got down to about 83, 84 kilos, right? And then I was a lot leaner, obviously, because I lost about 10 kilos of pure fat, and that made me look a lot better. Like, people don't realize, when I bulked up to 205 pounds, I still low-key had abs, so I can't have been incredibly fat at that point. I still packed on a good amount of muscle. So what do you think I'm gonna look like when I cut down to 185 pounds? Like, people don't understand the power of cutting. The problem is that a lot of people will bulk up to 205 pounds, they'll bulk up to like 90 kilos. But when they started their bulk, they barely had visible abs. So by the time they get to the end of their bulk, they're just, a marshmallow. Whereas when I started my bulk last year, I was pretty lean, right? Then even at the end of my bulk, in good lighting, I had a 4-pack, okay? I had about a 4-pack in good lighting, right? So then when I cut down 20 pounds of fat, I'm obviously gonna look a lot better, right? But did my strength go up? No! The first time I deadlifted after my cut, I was significantly weaker. You guys will see this one. In fact, Gymshark posted my deadlift from when I first got back to training, and it was actually a bittersweet feeling because I was like, oh yeah, Gymshark posted me, but at the same time I'm like, they posted the weakest lift I did for a while. Like, it was bittersweet. Like, I wish they posted like another one, but it doesn't matter. Either way, I did 235 kilos for a triple in May, when in March I did 260 kilos for a triple. So I don't understand where in there is gained strength. I lost strength. When I first came back, I said at the beginning my squat was 500 pounds for 2 reps. First session back, I did 140 kilos for 10 reps. Okay, that's a decrease. Okay, so I was weaker. Now at that lighter body weight, I gained back my strength. How did I gain back my strength? Muscle memory. When you gain strength and gain muscle, you increase the myonuclei within your muscles, and even after atrophy, after your muscles shrink, these myonuclei stay, and this means that when the training stimulus is reintroduced, so when you start training again, it leads to more rapid muscle growth and strength gain. So yeah, that's why I was able to gain my strength back very quickly. I think I went from doing 235 for a triple to doing 260 for a triple in about 4 weeks. So yeah, about 4 weeks. So the strength came back pretty quickly. So bottom line, no, I didn't gain strength and lose fat at the same time. I lost fat, lost strength, and then I gained back strength and maintained around the same body composition, which is more than possible to do. But also, even if I did lose fat and gain some strength, this is possible. Like, if you're eating a high protein diet, if you're training correctly, if you're getting adequate rest, if you're getting adequate sleep, you can gain strength on a cut. It's going to be harder. You're not going to blow up your lifts, but you can gain strength. So this is another argument that's moot. Argument number 4 is one that I've been seeing a lot recently, especially after Gymshark posted their video, and also in the video that Joe Linner made. They're basically just saying that the amount I deadlift is not possible at my age without steroids. Just basically, you can't do that without steroids. And while I understand their opinion, I've got nothing but respect for Joe. Joe is one of the realest guys in the industry, one of the funnest guys in the industry. When I met him in real life when he came to London, he was a really nice guy and everything like that. But like, at the end of the day, this is just someone's opinion. Like, there's no scientific backing behind that. There's no study that says this is the limit of what a 17-year-old can do naturally. Like, there's no study on that. So bottom line, that's just gonna be someone's opinion. Like, Joe in that video was like, maybe he could have done 260 naturally, but then he took some substances to do 285 kilos. Well, I did 260 kilos last year when I was 16 years old. So, of course, within that year, like, you have to realize, I gained 30 kilos on my deadlift in a year. Like, most of that was because of lockdown. Like, I would have gained more, but still, 30 kilos on your deadlift in a year. That is not unheard of. That is not ridiculous. That is not, like, strength gain that's going to make you, like, raise eyebrows and stuff. That is, like, pretty normal. Like, it's not ridiculous. So, it's just because of my starting point. Like, people need to realize, like, I was doing 3 plates on deadlifts for reps at age 14. Okay, my arms nearly touch my knees, okay? I've got long arms, I've got big glutes, I've got all the tools necessary to deadlift a lot of weight. So the fact that I deadlift a lot of weight is not evidence that I'm not natural. I do understand that there are points where you can just look at someone or you can just see something like that, yeah, that's not natural. But at the end of the day, is that really a good argument? Because that is subjective, like, you can't quantify that, you can't prove that, so no. Another argument a lot of people will say is, you can't be as lean as I am and be as strong as I am at the same time. Because, to be honest, like, my level of strength is not unheard of. Like, Sawyer Clapp was doing what I was doing last year, what I was doing now last year when he was 17 as well. In fact, he was even a little bit stronger than me when he was 17. But the difference, why there aren't as many red flags raised with Sawyer is because A, he's bigger than me. I'm about 5'10". I think he's like 6'1" or something. He's also, I think he weighed in the 200s for that lift, whereas I weigh in the 180s, the like mid to high, about the high 180s right now. So I'm about, 15, 20 pounds lighter than Sawyer was when he was doing it. So when Sawyer's lifting these crazy amount of weights, yeah, it raised some eyebrows, but I don't think as many because he was just a bigger person and like people, and because he wasn't extremely lean, it didn't raise as many eyebrows because people have it in their head that you can't be big, lean, and you can't be, wait, what is it? Big, lean, and natural, something like that, or like big, strong, natural. So it's those three, right? People think you can't do all of them at the same time, right? But they don't understand that there are like people with different genetics, and so there are people that can achieve a different amount of size than someone else. There are people that can achieve a different amount of strength than someone else, right? There's different natural standards for everyone. That's why I don't think it's even fair to say there's a natural standard, because someone with 50 percentile genetics is not even in the same stratosphere as someone with 99.999% of genetics. Now, I'm not saying I have 99.99% of genetics. That is for you to decide. But what I'm saying is, there's no amount of progress which is the same for everyone, or that you could just say, yeah, naturally you should be able to do this. Because if you're comparing yourself, if you say you have subpar genetics, you got 10th percentile genetics, if you took every gear there was in the world, every steroid under the sun, you would even come close to the guy with the 99.999 percentile genetics, because you just don't have it in you. Like, it's just not in the cards for you. Like, simple as, it's not in the cards. So that's the sad truth about it. So this doesn't mean that you can't improve, and that's the problem with social media, because people are always comparing themselves. If it was a case where you wouldn't compare yourself, then people wouldn't even really care as much. I think there wouldn't be as many steroid accusations, because a lot of what people can't wrap their head around is that when it comes to lifting, you'll do the same exercise as someone, you'll eat seemingly the same diet as someone, but your results will be so different. So people are like, oh, it must be steroids. And no, the majority of the time, as much as people hate to hear it, and it seems like a cop-out answer, it is genetics. Bottom line is genetics. That's it. That's what I wanted to get to for this whole video. Literally, genetics. Because genetics decides everything in life, okay? I was listening to Jordan Peterson, and he was saying that the #1 predictor of lifetime success is IQ. And IQ is genetically determined to a very, very large extent. So basically, how successful you're going to be in life, just period, is mostly genetic. Now, obviously, it also comes down to hard work, but if 2 people work hard and one of them has a higher IQ, he's going to be more successful. So genetics is the name of the game, okay? Like, we can't escape that. So we're pretty much at the end of the video now. I don't think there are many other valid steroid accusations other than the ones I talked about in this video, but I just want to kind of explain to you guys how it's not always steroids. Some people weigh up the options of steroids and think, no, it's not worth it, okay? And that's me. I don't think it's worth it right now. I don't see the benefits don't outweigh the negatives for me right now. and I don't think they ever will in the future. So I'm planning to stay natural. Hopefully this video helped to convince some of you that I am natural. If it didn't, then I don't know for you. You can believe what you want, but you know, I've done my best. So also make sure you guys like, comment and subscribe. Gonna be more content out very, very soon. Also, if you guys want to make some crazy progress, as many people have, you can go into the link in my description and purchase one of my plans. One of the ones I recently dropped is a power building plan, which allows you to gain muscle and strength at the same time, primarily in the big three: squat, bench and deadlift. But if those are not your goals, I've got a muscle gain plan, fat loss plan, at home plan, and a back to the gym plan. So, you know, I've got all bases covered. So either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in a bit. Let me know in the comments section like what you're thinking, if I was able to, you know, convince any of you, change any of your minds, because this would be really helpful as well. So yeah, anyway, see you guys in a bit. Peace.